Hello and welcome to Web Piano Academy and to this live stream. Today we have a wonderful guest from Germany, Boris Kosak, who is a composer and pianist. And I'm going to read this that I took from Boris' website, which is like the sentence that is introducing him on his website. So he says, as a child, I wanted to create something that would make the world better and more beautiful. I believed that composing music could be my contribution. Later, I felt that this beauty does not have to be created because it already exists deep within us and only needs to be made visible or audible to others. And I became a composer. So, Boris, welcome to Web Piano Academy, and thank you so much for being with us here in this afternoon in New York, but you are in Germany, so it is late in the evening over there. So, talk to us a little bit about yourself, how that all started. So.
Hi, thank you for inviting me. I'm very pleased to be here and to share my thoughts about music, because music is actually my life. It's the content of my life. And yes, here it's how it started. At some age, as far as I remember, it was like 14. For some reason, I suddenly realized that the life is not just living your everyday life, but there are much more things that mean something deeper. Yes, and in that moment, I started to search what it is. Yes, and after some time, I discovered that there are two things for me that are kind of the greatest in the world, and it was mathematics and music. And I had to decide what I'm going to do in my life. At that moment, I was 15, and I decided to do music because music has something that mathematics doesn't have. It is a capability to touch.
Such a thing that I heard from many musicians that they have an interest in science, in math, or physics, or those kind of subjects, and then they decide for music. And it was my thought as well. I wanted to be a genetic engineer at one point, and then it ended up being music, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's because mathematics for me, it's not just numbers. Yeah, actually, it's totally not about numbers. It's more about shapes. Yes, like geometry, it's about shapes and transforming them. And in music, it's also about some kind of shapes, or in German you say Gestalt. Yes, and about how you do something with them. Yes, it's like in literature you have heroes, yes, protagonists who do something, who interact, and you tell a story about them. And it's exactly the same thing in music. Just maybe you don't have names for these heroes. Yes, they are more like melodies, motifs. Yeah, if you think about pictures, yeah, you also have motifs. Yes, on pictures. Yeah, somehow it is all the same, telling a story. And yeah, for me, it's important to tell a story that can touch, and that's what is different between music and mathematics, because mathematics can't really touch. Yeah, some scientists can recognize the beauty maybe of a formula, but that formula is not capable to touch millions. Yeah, a nice melody can.
It's just a little bit difficult to tell a story with numbers, but yes. So you were studying in the Ukraina, right? You were studying piano first, or how?
Not really. I studied composition and musicology in Ukraine, in Kharkiv. And then I moved to Germany and studied in Cologne. I studied also composition, musicology, electronic composition, and then English and French philology.
Wow.
Some things, yes.
Well, just a few things, right?
Yeah. Just a few things.
Yes. So, how would you describe your way of composing? How do you start? When do you think about something and then you write it down, or do you write down and then you transform those things that you are thinking? How's your composition process?
Actually, you already quoted something in the beginning, yes?
Yeah.
And that could be, in a way, a motto of my work. I don't see myself as a creator. I'm more like somebody who discovers things, yes, like an archaeologist.
Like Michelangelo. Michelangelo has a sonnet.
Yes, in a way, yes.
You know
yes.
that Michelangelo had a sonnet. It's a poem where he says that. So basically, he's extrapolating the beauty from that block of stones, and the beauty is already in the block of stones. It's not like that he's creating anything. It's just like, shaping.
That's it. Yes. So there are two ways. You can shape something from the beginning, yes, start small and let it grow, or you can take the big thing and then cut off everything that you don't need there. Yes. And in a way, it is my way. Yes. That's why I say I'm more like somebody who finds things. Yes. I look in myself and I try to realize what it is about. Yes, and what I want to express. Yeah. So starting from the big thing, I try to make this beauty visible, or in the case of music, audible. Yes. So in a way, it's like the silence is maybe the whole. Yes, and from the silence, you take away everything that doesn't belong there.
You probably know the works of Salvatore Sciarrino, right? He works a lot with the silence and with the interpretation of the silence. So he says silence is not a known sound; it's part of the sounds that we have. The sound is also a silence, right? At times,
yes.
And then from the silence, then we can create those beautiful sounds.
Yes. And that's why I don't start with a small melody and try to develop it. On the contrary, I first try to find what actually I want. Should it be a symphony or should it be a piece for a piano? Yes, and then I search the optimal way how to get there. Because the last result, of course, it will be melody, a combination of them, and developing. But that's something that you just learn. Yeah, that's not the idea itself of the work. And this idea, it has to come from somewhere. And there it's where we come to this inner beauty. Yeah, like in the beginning, you said there is a beauty in us that we just have to discover. Yes, you don't have to create it because there is already somebody who created everything that can be beautiful, and we just make it audible. Yes, and that's also my way of working. Yes.
I remember listening to one of your pieces that you posted on Instagram, and it was like, I don't know if you remember that I asked you, do you have the score for this? Because I would love my students to play that. It was like, I think we were maybe a small kind of a sequence of, notes, and then were those notes coming over and over again. And I was like, that's so beautiful and simple. And then it's beautiful then, just like it's implicit. It's the simplicity. It's super beautiful that it's not, sometimes we think that in order to make things beautiful, we have to make things complicated, right? Or come to have a complex structure or whatever. But really, for the beauty can be in anything that is presented in a beautiful way, right? That makes sense.
And it is also about a story. Yes. The story itself has to be beautiful. Yes. And for the listener to be able to recognize this beauty, you have to talk the same language.
Yes.
Comparing to, for example, avant-garde music. Yes. And take a literature, a case of literature. Let's compare it. When you write a novel, you have a possibility to create a new language, totally new language that nobody knows, and then write a novel in this language that nobody understands. Yes. That would be a case with avant-garde music. You invent a totally new language, maybe it's interesting in itself. But if somebody doesn't know this language, she won't understand the story. Yeah. For me, it has to be the same language. And when you can start a story, and create an intrigue so that the listener wants to hear further, then you can deviate and make some more complex things that would create some trouble, maybe coming to the climax and in the way then to the resolution. But there has to be a story that one can really follow. Yeah,
Right.
and there is a language that actually everybody on this earth can understand. And you know which language it is? It's the language of movie music. Because everybody on this world watches movies. And
and
this language is
connects
actually,
the sounds to certain scenes, right? To connect to
exactly.
certain
Yes.
chords or
And
certain
it grows from the romantical tradition, late 19th century. Yeah. So this kind of vocabulary, of music is something that everybody can understand and can follow. And when you put some elements of this language together, then you can take and create a new story. That's what I try to do.
Yeah, that's a beautiful concept. I read a book time ago, which was about a theory of beauty. I don't remember exactly the title of the book now, but it was about what we feel it is beautiful as human beings, right? And then beauty is so much connected with the feeling of safety. So if we recognize the structure, so we know where we are going, even though there are a few new elements here and there that we can enjoy, we should feel safe. And that's it has to be connected with this primordial feeling of safety and security that we're looking for when we
and trust.
And trust, right. So I should trust that I know, and I kind of know the story, and I want to follow that, but I should know where I am in order to feel safe, right? If you're
because you have to take the listener on a journey, and you can't do it if the listener doesn't trust you.
Right. I don't know if you're a fan of Schoenberg's music. I'm not.
Not really a fan. Not really a fan. I understand it intellectually, but I mean, it's a different story.
I like to analyze his music because it is, it is interesting from a music theory perspective. It's just very interesting to analyze how he put together those sounds and those things. But as a pianist, personally, I would never put myself through his music and to learn his music and to memorize it, because I would have feel like I'm doing a favor to my listeners, right? Because I want the listeners to go out from my concerts and say, oh, this was such a beautiful experience, right? Oh, I liked so much that piece, right? Oh, I love that sound. So I want my listener to have that feeling rather than a feeling of, I don't know.
Well, let's not forget that Schoenberg is an expressionist. He didn't want to create something beautiful. He actually wanted to create something new at any cost. And that was his purpose. And he created something new that, in my opinion, is not a continuation of the classical tradition. It's a totally new way. For example, jazz music is much closer to classical tradition than music of Schoenberg and anyway atonal music. But we still have the line of classical tradition, whatever, Stravinsky, Prokofiev, Shostakovich, even composers like Messiaen.
Right, I think
Puccini.
Russian composers,
at the same time.
Russian composers, they were a little bit more aware, I think, about what an audience might want to listen than, for example, the kind of avant-garde. That's Schoenberg, Stockhausen, all those kind of composers that were kind of a little bit taking a distance from why do we make music, right? We make music for other people to listen to, not just to
it's difficult to say Russian because it's not really everything about Russian. Like Khachaturian, he is Armenian, or Prokofiev is Ukrainian because he's from Donetsk. So maybe it's not the right term, Russian music, but that's at the same territory, let's say like that, the same tradition. Yes. But we have also in Germany, for example, Richard Strauss. It's actually a continuation of classical tradition. In France, in Italy, there are composers who really worked in this direction, and now there is a great comeback. Finally, many composers realized that they have to really communicate with the listener.
I think, for example, the new age music, like probably we kind of we chatted a little bit on Instagram about you said kind of all my piano composition a little bit like Hiruma and Audi and those that kind of stuff. So I think the new age music and this type of, for example, piano compositions, at least, is closer to the modern audience, or kind of to a wider audience than the kind of classical type of composers are trying to do. And I think it is important to really kind of connect the two things and say, well, yeah, we want people to listen to music, but then we have also to write and produce music that people might enjoy, right? Because that's why we listen to music, because we want to enjoy that kind of sounds. Yes.
Actually, now we have at least two traditions in the classical music. One like avant-garde with atonal tradition. It's kind of experimental music. Yes, and it has its audience. It's not a big one, but it exists. At least here in Germany, you can find people who listen to this music, maybe several hundred people. And they have their own concert halls, also own ensembles who play just this kind of music, and that's fine. It's like with jazz. I mean, people who play jazz, and they normally don't play classic. It's a different genre.
Right.
But we still have also this kind of mainstream classical tradition, and it continues. And New Age, it's somehow already one step in the direction of pop music. It's not 100% classical. It's somehow in between. And
but I know my
write
students,
these two kinds,
right. But my piano students are adults, but also kind of teenagers, right? So they come. I don't know. I had a student the other day. I had assigned a piece by Beethoven, the Sonatina by Beethoven, and he came back with a piece which was much more difficult for his level of knowledge, but was by a Japanese New Age composer. I want to play this, and I was like, okay, you can play this, but then you have also to learn it. Because it's closer to what they know, what is familiar to them. And now Beethoven Sonatina might feel a little bit kind of distant from their culture, what they hear every day, and then
it's like speaking the same language. Yes. I mean, Einaudi or Yeruma, they really use this language of movie music. It doesn't mean that these pieces they are 100% movie music. Like my music, it's not movie music. It's not really 100% suitable for a movie, but it uses the same language, and that's why people understand it and they want to hear it, and they can connect some ideas, some feelings with it. It's for them much easier than when they take whatever Klavierstück of Stockhausen, where everything is totally abstract and nothing that they would recognize, and they're just shocked for the moment. Some people who are intellectually interested in it, they will find out what it is about, and they can talk about it. But it's difficult to have this feeling of, oh, wow, it's something that makes me proud to be human. It's something like, wow, it's this wow effect.
And I remember
I'm missing it.
I remember the first time that I practiced a piece by Messiaen, and I was like, wait a second, this sound this sound everything is dissonant, sort of, right? But then at one point, after a while, after you practice, right, and you go into that kind of language, you really, first of all, you recognize, oh, that's Messiaen, right, when you listen to that. And then you can also, for example, in the case of Messiaen, he has his own language. So you start recognizing that language, learning that language, and you know that if something all of a sudden sounds too consonant, that probably it's wrong, right? You're playing the wrong notes, because it should sound everything, right? So it's kind of, but once you learn it, and once that language is codified, it is much, much easier to really communicate, and then to understand. Well, we speak different languages. So I'm Italian, I lived in Germany, I moved to the States, and for you it is the same, right? We speak so many languages, and then we know that in order for other people to understand us, we really need to adapt and to learn that code that they're using. Right?
Yes. It's exactly what I meant by creating a new language and then writing a story in this new language. If somebody is ready to learn this language, then this person can discover the beauty. Like if I'm ready to learn Korean, then I can find the beauty of Korean poetry. But if I don't know, it's just on some surface for me. Oh, nice sound somehow, but well, what it is really about.
It's written in such a nice way that it looks like a painting, but I don't understand the thing. So, I mean, it wouldn't be a poetry then, right? It wouldn't be a poem. Yes. I totally agree with that. But I think too that we have certain codes in our mind, right? So our brain functions with, understanding a concept and then building structures and connecting dots, and then understand, so that we can understand the word. That's how our brain really kind of works in anything we do. Right? Like, we are learning a language, we do that. We are learning math, we do that. We're learning science. When we make an experiment, we try to follow certain steps so that it is recognizable to us. But for music, it is exactly the same. We don't think about that, but it is basically, we are reflecting in music the way that we think. And so that's why we are extrapolating from ourselves, putting our thoughts and sounds at one point to tell a story or to communicate things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I see it also in the same way. And in the classical music, we also have more layers compared to, in the wide sense, popular music. And these layers, they tell us not only a story, but they tell us more about the world, about the vision of the world, of the whole world, maybe even the universe. Like when we listen a miss from Renaissance time or from a Baroque time, it tells us also how this person, this composer, saw the world, and music is giving us the code to his view of the world, or her view of the world, so it's not just a kind of feelings, nothing more than feelings. Actually, it's much more than feelings, Feelings are, of course, the basis, but it's not everything there is. And when we, for example, listen to music of Bach, the modern view is more like it's just feelings. Wow, great composer expressing so many feelings. But he's actually telling us not only feelings, he's telling us about his religion, about his life, about the beauty of this universe, many more things, And his polyphony, actually, it was one of big sources of my inspiration. When I studied, I also studied polyphony. It was a part of the process, and I wrote a lot of fugues. I even earned my money for some time with writing them for other students, because we studied also with musicologists, and they were not like really composing.
So don't tell us who were those students.
Yeah, it happens. Because musicologists also had to write polyphonic music, and mostly they had difficulties with it.
Yes, it is like a puzzle, because I mean, if you think about all the voices, they have to produce a certain harmonies and then be coherent in the melody, and then then you have subjects and counter subjects, and then they have all to kind of be together. It's kind of very difficult, right?
And it has to be somehow thrilling, not boring after 10 seconds. That's actually the most difficult thing.
Yes. So, do you use? I had a guest, Professor Girdigan. I don't know if you know him, but he has analyzed music in the Galant style and kind of categorized certain schemas and patterns, right? That composers in the 18th century were using to produce that beautiful music, which was always kind of pleasant. Then, people would like that, like they learned what people would like, and then, put these patterns together in order to be productive. Let's say that, because they had to write probably, one piece a day or one piece a week at least, right, in order to make money. Let's say that, because that's how musicians made money in the past. So do you use patterns and schemas in your compositions?
I recognize them. I don't use them intentionally, but afterwards I see and recognize them. And what is interesting, you mentioned now the 18th century, actually Baroque time, later classical time, but what is about Baroque time? I have the feeling that our modern times are very tightly connected to the Baroque time.
I was just saying.
If I were asked which epoch is the closest to our time, Yeah, for me, it's definitely Baroque time. We have so much in common. Yeah, also this theatrical thing. This, I mean, the word Baroque, Barocco. Yeah, it means some muscle that is not perfect. Yeah.
Yes.
So actually, it is about connecting or putting things together. Yeah, that are not really from the same origin.
Yes.
In a way, like heterogenic, yes, and that's what we do in our times as well. Yes, so putting different things together, and creating something new out of them. Yeah, we call it maybe postmodern in our times. Yeah, they're combining styles, influences from even different nations and folk music of all of corners of the world. Yeah, so that's why I would call my music integrational music. Yes. Maybe in a bigger sense, postmodern, but integrational. Because for me, everything is a source. Yeah. It's kind of amalgam where I put influences from all over the world together.
If you look at the work that Mozart was doing, Mozart started actually with a kind of learning in the Galant style, right? And then because he traveled a lot, right, in Europe, then he acquired all those other influences and sources of inspiration. And then you can see in his compositions how the composition style changed over time, adding, all those other kind of elements that he was kind of, you go to France, you listen to that, you take lessons with this person, you learn something new, and then you apply that new thing to your music. And it's probably also an unconscious thing that we do, right? We don't really.
For me, actually, it's even earlier, even before Mozart and Haydn. Yeah, because Baroque was a little earlier. I'm speaking more about Vivaldi, for example, or Handel, who put really different things together, with some switches where you can clearly see it's not a continual development of something, of an idea, of this kind of symphonism, but it's more kind of suite, where different things are put together, and this genre of suite is also very important for me. I have written a lot of suites, even with very, very short pieces. Some of them are, for example, Amuse-Bouche or Petit Four. They are about little tasty things that have titles with musical and culinary meanings. Like Allegro con Brie, for example. This. So there are like.
Non compris. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I should have used that. A time ago, they asked me to have a concert which was associated with cheese, and I had no idea how to associate music with cheese, so I invented it. So I connected the titles or the composers to the feeling that the cheese might give to you. If I would have had your piece, I would have certainly played it.
Rossini had some piano pieces in the end of his life. And they are about food, actually. I remember.
He was passionate about food, yes.
and by the way, it's a Baroque tradition, Tafelmusik or musique de table, because at that time they didn't have CD players. They just put some musicians in every little restaurant, and they played some famous opera areas or music specially written for it. And we know that even Beethoven wrote this kind of music.
And there was a lot of, I think, in that period was also house music, right? So that was very popular for kind of rich people. Would just like invite musicians and have those small, I don't know, parties, dinners, and things like that with music. Which was like
yes. And now we don't call it suite; we call it like album. More popular word for it, but. Generally, it's the same. I mean, it's concerning New Age or neoclassical music. Yes. But it's not the only kind of music that I write, of course. I write also operas and symphonies, and they're totally different story.
Vast variety of things. That's beautiful. So, if somebody would like to become you, so that like become like Boris Kosak, and then I want just to imitate him, and then I kind of they take you as a source of for the inspiration to become, like him, and then say, I want to write music like him, or kind of, in that style, or I just like his music, and I really kind of like for myself to be able to do that. What do you think the path should be?
Oh, I think they should start with polyphony. Yes, learn it, and then try to write in styles of different composers for some time. Yeah, to learn how composers think, just imitating. Yeah, analyzing and imitating, and after they imitate, they will find their own way. Yeah, and that's how they would also come closer to me, because for me it's very important to find my own style, so that my listener recognizes, it's Boris Kosak. Yeah, it's not somebody else. It's exactly him. Yeah, from the first notes. Yeah, and I'm often said that people recognize my style, and that's very important. Although, I mean, on the surface, you don't see anything crucially new in this music, but it's the story, yes, and it's the way how it's put together. So one thing is this, and then actually, I'm a passionate dancer.
My son is kind of passionate about Ukrainian dances. So when he heard that I was going to interview you, he said, "Mom, you should ask this question for me. Like, does it dance too?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know if it is related to kind of what we will talk about, but if there's a chance, I will do it." So you do dance, but do you do
dance? Yeah, but I don't dance folk dances. I don't dance salsa. I mean Latin American dances for 20 years probably. I go every week once or twice to dance. Yes, salsa, bachata, merengue. Yes, and I also dance kizomba for several years.
I danced Ukrainian folk dances when I was a kid. Because I had in my dance school. Yeah, I did. So I could do kind of sort of this acrobatic dances,
Oh no, it's nothing for me. Yeah. Okay, and anyway, I prefer to dance in a couple because it's a different energy. It's like telling a story also.
Yeah, it is. It is
interacting. It's much more fun.
Right, and I always thought that dancing was so close to really music. I mean, when we play the piano, we really basically dance with the fingers, right? That's how I explain to my students. You should imagine that you're dancing on your fingers, because that's kind of the movements that they produce music. If you really move in the right way, then your sound will also sound in the right way, right? On the piano. So and I think it's almost like,
and that's why I mentioned dancing, because when I compose, I also feel music with the body. Yeah. Not necessarily in the way that I want to dance when playing this or that song, but it has to, to reverb somehow in my body, yes? There has to be something in me that wants to move, and if I feel that it happens, then I recognize I'm on the right way. So when you asked how to become composer like Boris Kosak, it would also be a part of it. To start feeling the music with the whole body. For me, it's a very important aspect.
Yes,
and really also live in it.
Yes, but I mean, I don't know if you know that, but for example, if you go to Africa, right, in some villages, I think I don't remember exactly in what part of Africa, but they don't have a word. They still don't have a word now for music, to describe music, because music and dance are so connected that if you say that word, that means dance, music, ritual, everything together. So it's that thing, and it's not. I mean, movement and music, they have a strong connection, because that's how it starts, right? How music started, with the movements, with the sounds we produce, while moving our voice. And I mean, I think really kind of that music gives you that feeling that, first of all, something is alive, right? So life is there, right? So because I mean, if you're dead, you don't really produce sounds. No, I mean, it's like a little bit uncommon for so, and I think it is so connected to that thing.
I guess both music and dance, they come as a part of stressing the language.
Yes.
They come from the rituals, and during the rituals, people make connection to something that is invisible, yes, to something transcendental, yes, and through dancing and music, yeah, you can stress certain points in that in the speech. Yes, you can create a new layer, so to say. Yeah. Also, this rhythm, yes, makes the effect stronger. Yeah, that's why they're so connected. I mean, not between itself, but because they come from the language. So for me, the language is actually the source of the music.
Yes, I was in Israel a few years ago, and I met. So it was right outside Jerusalem. I was walking, and I was at hand. There was a Bedouin there, and I asked if I could take a picture, right? Because I found that, I mean, it's a little bit outside Jerusalem. There was a tent, a dromedary out there, and it was beautiful. And I was like, may I take a picture? I said, and he didn't speak English, right? Didn't speak. I tried like Italian, German, French, Spanish. I speak all those, but I don't know anything else. And he spoke all other languages that I didn't speak. And so, but we still managed to communicate and have a cup of tea in his tent. Two movements, right? To kind of, do you want this? Yes, thank you, right? And then you kind of communicate in a nice way without words, but through gestures and to, really kind of trying to understand the other person. So, and I kind of think dancing is part of all that type of communication, nonverbal communication that we...
and think about the lullabies, for example. Yes, they are actually almost the same in the whole world.
Yes.
The later, the more grown up people become, the more creative they become, and then they create something new that is really different. Yeah, but when
they're based
they sing
on
for the babies,
rhythm, right? And they're kind of based on the kind of rhythm that will calm the baby, right? And
very simple, very soft, and just several tones. Yes, and the melodies are very alike everywhere. Yes, and that's actually something that can touch people all over the world.
Yes. Yeah.
That's how it works.
When you said that if they want to become a composer, to start imitating different styles, different composers, and different, just try kind of to
learn, to understand how it works.
Right. For example, I'm doing this experiment with my own students, even with the little ones. So, if they are practicing, I don't know, a Czerny etude, right? Which is just a tonic and dominant chords, just simple things. I tell them, okay, so now that you know this etude, now write your own. Just copy the left hand, copy the harmonic structure, use the same amount of measures, invent the right hand. And then that only gives to the students the idea about, okay, so this is a tonic chord, and if I want to have a dissonant thing, I should, on C major, I should just start with a D, and I have a very dissonant thing. And they say, it doesn't sound like Czerny though. And they start changing that, and they start changing around the notes and starting observing, right, in the score. Oh, okay, he used a G there. Maybe I can use an E, and then, change the notes around. So they start thinking, even though they are 6, they still kind of can acquire that kind of language. They have that kind of almost unconscious understanding of, this sounds good right now. I don't know why. I don't know the rules of harmony. I don't know anything about tonic and dominant chords, but I know that this sound good together.
Yes, it's the easiest way. You can compare it like with creating pictures or making photographies. Yeah?
Yes.
When you take a photo, you have to choose. Okay, of course, there is kind of creative photography where you can still put objects in a special way, put light, but mostly when you make a photo, you just press, but you have to choose. Like this, and then you have maybe 200 pictures, and then you choose. This one is the best one, or this two, and probably all the other to whom you will show the same photos, they will say, yes, these 2 or maybe 5, they are the best, because it's easier. To choose. We have this inner feeling how it should be.
Yes, so they say that there's a feeling, I think, in the beauty, right? There's always that feeling of balance things, proportions, there has to be certain things. I mean, you cannot really start with a long theme and then have some short things in between and then just end the thing, because I would feel like, wait a second, you asked, I said that to a student of mine. He composed something and then he wrote kind of a long thing, which sounded to me like he's asking a question to somebody, right? That kind of feeling, the music is asking a question. And the piece like stopped there. And I was like now I'm feeling unsatisfied because there's a question and there's no answer there. So I don't know how this story is going, to end, because you started but you didn't finish.
Like an unfinished symphony.
Yes, and I had another student who just started writing some notes, random notes, and I had asked her to write a melody, and she said, "Oh, that's a melody." I was like, "Well, do you really like what you wrote?" And she said, "No." But I said, "Well, that's not the purpose of writing a melody. You should really like it, because if you don't like it, for yourself, that maybe other people might not like it too." So it's very, very difficult to really kind of. But I think, and I kind of regret, and I'm kind of trying to make up that with my students. We have lost that in music lessons, right? The art of really composing and kind of write your own music, which they do if somebody's in a rock band, right? Is passionate about popular music. They compose their own music, right? They do that. They write their own music.
I would say improvising. Yes. I mean, earlier it was an important part of learning. Yeah, improvising. Yeah, even when you wanted to perform something. Yes, the instrument at that time, they were tuned before every concert, and then you had to check how it sounds, make sound check, like preludium. That's how preludium came to exist, because of improvising, just playing something, in order to check if everything is all right.
Right. Yes.
And now we don't have it. Yeah,
and I think it was a strong connection. There is a strong connection between how music was taught in the past and for example, jazz musicians, right? They basically do the same, right? When they improvise, you have this kind of patterns and things, and then somebody improvises on that. And the other, if they're playing together, the other people in the ensemble, they really know, oh, okay, this person's playing and is following this kind of sequence. So there's an improvisation, but there's also an agreement about, what kind of progressions we are using, what kind of chords we're going to use, and what kind of, ending is going to have this thing. How am I going to transition from you to me, right? And then I come from doing. So there's this agreement, but at the same time, they're improvising. That's much closer to what they were doing before than, what we teach to our students. We don't really teach that now, unfortunately, anymore. I wasn't taught that. I was taught to read music and to play, what somebody else has written. That was it, right? And I kind of, I wish I would have had the possibility to, make up my own music at one point.
Now the technology is so available that everybody can mix the music even in the mobile phone. Yes. When we see young people, they just show themselves. Do you know the song? Oh, and here and here and here, or even not a song, mixes of the songs. And the creative of them, they still try to improvise, but they don't improvise music. They put different songs, different videos and music together. Yes. So the creativity has switched away. They do it somehow on a different level. But still, there is always place for creativity, and the modern creativity is always integrational.
Do you know this young girl, Alma Deutscher? She's no longer kind of. Probably she's a teenager by now.
I don't remember.
Probably you can look it up later. But she was taught to improvise and compose. Like basically, like Mozart was taught, right, since a kid, and now she's able to. I think she composed an opera called Cinderella when she was, I don't know, she was 9 or 10 years old. So she's pretty famous. But she was taught to do that, right? And I think that's what we should kind of recover, right? To really teach our students to, or whoever is learning music, not only to write music that you have written, I have written, or somebody else has written, but music that they like, and they might transform that in their own way, right? Like we write a poem.
The difficulty is to decide what actually we want to do in our society. I mean, do we want to teach music, or to paint, or to write poetry? Yeah, because you can't do everything. You just don't have enough time for everything, or cut videos, or this or that. So somehow there must come something from the children, yes, and if you recognize, they are absolutely talented in the musical way, then we can try to help them. But if somebody wants to write poetry, well, maybe music won't work.
Boris, do you come from a musical family, or was it just you?
My family wasn't musical, but my mother can sing very well, and she wanted to study singing, but somehow her parents, my grandparents, they talked her out of it, and she studied different things. She's engineer, but she totally different thing. But even now she sings in a little choir, but not professionally. And when some age I decided to learn and even study music, my parents, they wanted to support me with everything they can. Yes. So
beautiful.
At the age of 15, I did. Yes, I already moved.
Your parents are still in the Ukraine, or?
My father has died, and my mother is in Ukraine. Yes, actually, she's on the occupied territory right now.
Okay? Yes.
She's okay right now. Yes, but you don't know what will happen. That's
right. Yes.
The sad part of the story. Yeah, but for the moment, she's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a good friend a long time ago. I met him in a competition, Ostap Shchetynsky. I don't know if you know him. It's the violinist.
No, I don't.
So, the first thing that I did when I heard about the war was like texting. I emailed him. I looked it up, and I kind of, is everybody safe there? It's a kind of, I think, I mean, it's such a horrible thing, and things about war is that we don't recognize that the beauty of being human is that we are different, right? And that we are all different. We have all our different cultures, and we still can communicate in a peaceful way while accepting that differences, right? And I don't really, see this is mine, this is yours, this is my territory, this is your territory, this is our territory, this is our world, right? And anyway, so you were telling me that you edit your beautiful videos and you kind of produce all that, right?
Yes, I do. Yes, I also do videos professionally. For example, in a month, I go to Cologne to record a string quintet. Yes, they also perform my music, and we will make several video clips. Yes, I can do it. Yeah.
They're always beautiful. I'm always fascinated. I'm always fascinated from your videos, the ones that you post on Instagram, because I always also kind of really kind of well made. It's kind of.
I mean, it's not all footage is made by myself, but I do cut it myself always, and a lot of things I do produce them myself as well, or recordings, I also studied electronical composition, so at some moment I realized that the software is working in the same way. That's why actually I also produced a lot of songs, not only classical music. I also wrote music for radio plays, and I have some probably 80 songs. I mean, in different styles, like hip hop, everything. Even I have a CD in Turkey with Turkish music.
What's the beautiful hall you are in right now?
It's Mozart Hall. It's in Hamburg. Yeah, it's a very nice hall. Yeah, it's called Mozart Hall. Yeah.
I was like when I saw that when you appeared, I was like, wow, that's a beautiful house.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I'm making recordings here. That's why I'm in this hall right now.
Yeah. And then you also, I read that you also perform in a duo with a pianist, right?
Exactly, yes. With Alina Kabanova, an excellent pianist, also from Hamburg. Yes, and we perform my music. So we only perform my music when we play together.
It's fine. It's totally
Well,
fine. Your music is totally
yeah.
fine.
I think there are
Yes.
enough good pianists who can perform also Brahms or Schubert. Yeah. But
Yes.
nowadays you have to propose something special, something that
Yes.
nobody does. Yes, and
Yes.
that's what we do. Yeah, because
Yes.
I actually think it doesn't make much sense when we play the same Schubert for hands.
Yeah. No, I mean it might be, but there's always something special that you give to the audience when they know that that beautiful music that you are playing is actually yours, right?
Absolutely,
I don't know.
absolutely.
I kind of write small pieces, not at your level. You know, nothing at your level. It's just like I'm still learning and I'm still following the path of looking at somebody else and then kind of really kind of write my own voice according to a pattern schema that somebody else has invented. But whenever I kind of I'm performing and I play my own music, somebody, it's so beautiful because somebody would come to you afterwards and say, oh, you played that beautiful piece. What was that? And it was like, I wrote it. And they really, you wrote it? Yes, I wrote it. They're almost like that surprise because they might imagine, it's a kind of a Chopin piece or somebody else's piece. It's kind of some strange composer's piece, but they would never imagine it's mine. And it's kind of it's a beautiful feeling for me, but I think it's also a beautiful feeling for whoever is listening, that when they come to you and then they say, right, it's kind of, that was a wonderful piece, and it's kind of I like that piece so much. And I think your music in particular is so connected to what people really kind of totally understand now, right? They understand their kind of feelings, and they kind of can follow that story, right?
Well, actually, we are not asked, is it your music or not, because during the contest, I tell about it. Yes, I tell about it. I mean, I play some pieces and they say, and this music is about this and that, or there were some feelings that connected to it, and then it's absolutely clear where it comes from. But in a duo, I have noticed that it works totally different. When I play alone, it's like a little bit more soft and intimate. Because one person is somehow more close. And when we play together, there's also a boy and a girl. It's a different dynamics, and it works differently. It's also more powerful because we have four hands. Yes, it's a different arrangement.
And you have two different energies, right? That are combining together, right? And kind of combining it. And you have to combine thoughts, right? You have to combine what the other person is thinking with what you are thinking, and then compromise on that while you're playing.
Yeah, they seem to be the same pieces. Yeah, but when you play them four hands, it sounds totally different. Yeah.
Yes,
it's more powerful. It's with more dynamics. Interesting.
What do you prefer? Do you prefer to compose for piano? Do you prefer to compose, I don't know, for orchestras, or what's your kind of favorite thing to compose?
Well, actually, my favorite is orchestra. But orchestra is also much more difficult to organize and put together.
Yes, because you have to actually find an orchestra who will actually play.
Also, yes. And the ideal thing is, of course, piano and orchestra. In some way, piano is for me kind of like black and white. I mean, not because of the color of the keys.
Not because of the keys, yes.
But think like wood instruments. They sound cold in a way. They have less overtones and like this. And string instruments, they're very warm. You can hold the sound and you can develop it. Yes, and you can vibrate it. With piano, it's more neutral.
Right. Yes.
In the beginning, of course, you can still express a lot of colors, but in a different way, through change in dynamics, through change in the tempi, and all these things. Yes. But piano is more suited to express movement. For me.
Yeah. I mean,
if it is about something. If it is about something intimate, you have to find a way around. Like to make a piano melody sing. There was a piano teacher who said, yes, actually you can do it when you have these waves of piano sound. When you press a key, then you have a wave like whoa, 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 whoa. And you have to play in a way that one wave catches another wave. Yeah, and then you can still imitate kind of singing. Yeah, it sounds like for example, Chopin music. You have to play in a way that still it is like a line. Yeah?
Right.
Not like
yeah,
pom, pom, pom.
the connection in the piano is so much more really kind of between the sounds. You really have to connect the sounds so well that it's kind of they are kind of almost overlapping.
Yeah, take over.
Right.
Yeah.
On a string instrument, you can obviously then play a crescendo
You
on the
just,
same note, right?
Yeah.
You just play that same note, and you can just you change the bow, and then you still kind of have a different sound. But on the piano, how do you do that?
Yeah.
You do
And
that
with orchestra, you can continue endlessly anyway.
Yes,
because you have a lot of instruments they can take over.
Yes. So, Boris, what are your plans for the future?
My plans are now to make more concerts because the Corona time is more or less over. Here in Hamburg, last Sunday, every limits were finished. Yeah, so now we just have to wear masks in the train, and that's all. Yeah. So we can start with the concerts. Actually, we started already, and I want to play much more, like solo and in duo with Alina Kabanova, and continue working with orchestras. I mean, now I had 5 concerts with philharmonic orchestras here in Germany, and it's a good start for this year.
Yeah,
I think
I mean,
I will work in this direction.
Yes, given that the pandemic has really pretty much stopped, right? All those kind of activities. It's already good, to start having something right now.
Yes, because the last 2 years it was difficult. We just had a couple of concerts. It's people also don't go to the concert or didn't go. Now they start slowly waking up. Yeah.
Yes.
Next month I also play in some
coronavirus is
concerts.
not over yet, right? So we still have people around that might be sick, recovered, and let's hope that we will kind of be better soon. But so
it looks good anyway. Yeah, it looks like we have managed it, and the life can come back to how it was. Maybe not exactly how it was. We learned a lot of things from it. Yeah.
Yes, I mean, many musicians really found still ways to make music despite the coronavirus, right? I don't know, we made more recordings, more videos, we made more online concerts, more of those things, right? The live streams.
Yes. I also recorded 1 album, that's All the Colors of Love, that I'm presenting in the concerts, and I've practically finished another album. It's called Movie Music, where every piece is about something connected to movies. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Some feelings or some specific kinds of movie music. Yes. Can also be fun.
Yeah, I posted the link to your website and to your YouTube channel in the description below this video. And I thank you so much for being here with us today, and for participating in this live stream. And I hope to have you around soon, and then maybe we can talk a little bit more, play a little bit more of your music. But if anybody's interested in Boris' music and in his activities, I have posted the link to his YouTube channel below, to his website, and I think you have the entire list of everything that's going on with you in there. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much indeed. Yes. It was a great pleasure.
And have a good evening in Hamburg. And auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen. Have a good evening. Yes. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.